Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. With week 4 in the books, Major League Baseball has a lot of news to cover from this past week. First of all, there are a few guys who are returning from the IL, including Tim Anderson, Raisel Iglesias, and hopefully soon to be Tyler Glasnow. There was also a report on Triston McKenzie, who is starting to throw bullpen sessions, so that's great news. Jose Altuve was also fielding grounders as of late, so those are some big stars who are on their way back. But I think the best feel-good story of the week for week 4 of Major League Baseball was Drew Maggi. After 13 years in the minors, almost 4,500 at-bats, he was finally called up by the Pittsburgh Pirates. The first at-bat Maggi had was a pinch hit at-bat for Andrew McCutchen in an 8-1 lead over the Dodgers in the bottom of the 8th. Naturally, after 13 years waiting, he swung at the first pitch, and had it not gone foul, it would have been a home run. He was also called for a violation for not being set in the box ready to at-bat at the 8-second mark, and then had another foul for the third pitch, good eye for the fourth pitch, and then ended up striking out on a low ball. But hey, the excitement was there, and it was awesome, not only for the Pittsburgh fans, but I would say the Dodger fans who were in attendance. Someone posted in one of the chat rooms that some of the players who were coming up with the Pirates knew Drew Maggi. He was drafted in 2015, and so that was the same draft class as Jameson Taillon, who's one of my favorite pitchers, as you can see. Oh, right there, yep. But also Garrett Cole. And so you can think of anyone who's come in the last 13 years, star-wise, Reynolds, to name one, Kevin Newman, of course, everyone knows O'Neal Cruz. But some of these players who came through the minors, they know how hard Drew Maggi works. So it was awesome they got to see that. He got his first hit against the Washington Nationals. We're going to jump right into it, to the Fantrax League, the Funky Junky Joker Monkeys. Just like I said last week, another week, another L. This week it wasn't as bad. Like, I was going into Sunday and I thought I had a chance. I'd already used all my pitchers. However, the other guy had only used 8 pitchers. So he was able to get 5 more pitchers. And I ended up losing. I feel like some of these games that have been close would have absolutely been wins by me, again, if my pitchers had done something. But this week, it wasn't my pitchers. It was my hitters. I found that I could pull up the actual numbers from the week as far as like if they were in categories, so you can see exactly where some of the points are going, or at least where some of the stats are going and accumulating the points from. So you can look at my hitting and tell that I was lacking big time in just hits overall, home runs, and RBIs. With those deficits, it's hard to imagine winning anything, really. The other guy hit 12 home runs, I hit 3. The other guy had 60 plus RBIs, and I barely got half of that. As far as the hitting goes, I had a few guys who combined for 23 points over the course of the week. That's very sad because I had 4 pitchers alone get me 20 plus points. I think the worst part about those 5 players who only accumulated 23 points over the course of the week were what I would consider stars or superstars. Nolan Gorman, Nolan Arenado, Dalton Varsho, Justin Turner, and Harold Ramirez. Now, Harold Ramirez may not have been the biggest name of the bunch, but you look at those others, especially Nolan Arenado. What are you doing, man? Like, did you forget to hit? I mean, he's not as cold as Ty France, who went 0 for 16 for this week in one of my leagues, but man, some of these stars have to step up. Justin Turner was a waiver wire pickup. I thought he was going to do very well hitting in Fenway Park. But again, we'll have to see. Maybe it was just a bad week. Maybe I've just had 4 bad weeks. We got to figure it out. But again, I've posted the hitting and pitching stats. The pitching actually did very well for me. I was super excited about my pitching. And as you can tell, I had 70 plus innings pitched, and they did well over those 70 plus innings. I had 4 pitchers who got me 20 points at least in all of their starts. Freddie Peralta, Anthony DeSclafani, Mackenzie Gore, and Patrick Sandoval. All of them decided to come to life last week. Of course, there were some pitchers who were duds for me. Between Plesac, Joe Musgrove, and Graham Ashcraft, I barely got above 5 points from all 3 of those. Plesac got obliterated. Musgrove, terrible start. Graham Ashcraft alone scored more than those 5 points, but because the other two did so poorly, they actually negated some of those. So, but just like I talked about the positives for the pitchers and the negatives for the pitchers, I already hit on the negatives for the hitters. The positive for my hitters, though, Ronald Acuna, not only the highest scoring player in the entire league, but he's on my team, and he's going to waste. I have to have someone step up other than Ronald Acuna. And this week, Esteury Ruiz and Josh Rojas both did with at least 24 points each. Looking at the waiver wire, you see I let go of Bailey Falter. Finally, I picked up Drew Smyly in his place. I also let go of Jermaine Marquez. He was hurt early in the season, spent some significant time on the IL, came back, and 3 1/3 innings pitched in, he got hurt again. So I had to release him. I had to pick up someone else in his place. I got Rich Hill, the ageless one, was like 44 years old and pitching gyms out here. I also picked up Griffin Canning, starting for the Angels, and they had a good matchup, and I started him, and he did decent for me. In his place, I had to release AJ Minter, who has absolutely forgotten how to pitch. He did pick up a save last night. The time I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, so he picked up a save Monday because of the doubleheader, but still, man, with Iglesias coming back, Minter probably won't have a job as a closer, and he'll definitely have to work his way back into the setup role. So, like I talked about before, I'm last in the league, 12th out of 12. If we look at points scored and scored against, I have the 9th most scored points and the 3rd most points scored against me. It's not just me making bad decisions. I've gone against some of the better teams. I've had tons of points scored against me. So not taking it off me a little bit, but making me feel a little better that I have essentially the 3rd hardest schedule up to this point. Moving over to my Kent Murphy Dingers. This week was a difficult week because my team decided to keep it super close, but not quite enough to win enough categories. Also, some of the categories were my fault for not starting the right people. Picked up the right people, but didn't start them, so that's very unfortunate. I did end up losing this week 3-7, but you can see I kept it close in home runs, RBIs, and wins. I missed out on a Nate Lowe home run, missed out on multiple stolen bases by Esteury Ruiz, and as far as the wins, Nick Lodolo was in line for the win to at least tie it, and his bullpen gave it up. This week, the positives for the Dingers were Matt Olson and Nate Lowe both having at least 2 home runs. Lowe should have had 3, but of course I didn't start him. Adolis Garcia had 1,000+ OPS, so that's amazing. JT Realmuto was a 5-category contributor. Pitching-wise, you know I'm already going to talk about Jose Alvarado. And another addition I had to my team last week, Carlos Estevez. Combined, they got me 5 saves. And between Jorge Lopez, Evan Phillips, and Hunter Brown, I had a 0.00 ERA. Now, let's talk about the not-so-good. Rosario and Nolan Arenado were cold as ice, hitting below 125. Actually, Arenado was hitting .08. Wow. Pitching-wise, I don't think we have to talk much about it, but AJ Minter decided to forget how to pitch again and had a dramatic blown save opportunity, giving up 5 earned runs in less than an inning. Cool. Another guy who did not do well for me and is currently on a 3-game losing streak. Tonight, he pitches against the Phillies, which it might end up being 4-game losing streak. Julio Urias. He started against the Pirates. It got blown up. Luckily, I did not start him. I accidentally forgot to set my lineup for that day. Was able to throw Logan Webb in, but couldn't get Urias. And it wound up looking like I made a good choice. I'm purposely not starting him this week against the Phillies. Looking at the waiver wire, you saw it right. Somebody dropped Eloy Jimenez. And I thought, man, this is my chance to get a star. You can see he stayed on my team for only a few days until I had to drop someone else for him. Right now, like as of this video, he's batting .225. Last year, he was hitting almost 300. I know he's going to get on track at some point in time. At least I hope he does. Again, maybe he'll be sitting on waiver wires for me then. He's been dropped in a few other leagues as well. Also got news that Robbie Ray is done for the season. Again, I used him as like a 3rd or 4th round pick, and that's a jab. I was really counting on his 200 plus strikeouts this year in the pitcher friendly park, but man, didn't work out for me. I saw that I was losing steals, so I picked up Ruiz and dropped Jimenez. And of course, this was the day that Ruiz got the 4 stolen bases. So the next day, I probably should have started him, right? Nope. He got a stolen base in that game, and I didn't start him. So there's at least one of those stolen bases I needed. I also decided, against my better judgment, to drop Josh Rojas and pick up Joey Lucchesi because he had a great matchup against the Nationals. And I talked about last week being a great streaming matchup. Gave up like 300 runs in 5 1/3, and it wasn't ideal. It wasn't the start that I was expecting. But also, Rojas decided he was actually going to start playing when I released him. So again, if he's available on your waiver wire, make sure you pick him up because he's not on my team anymore. After Lucchesi didn't do well for me, I decided to pick up Vince Velasquez. When Vince Velasquez didn't work out for me, I decided to pick up Nick Lodolo because I was losing strikeouts at this point in time, and I really thought that Nick Lodolo could strike out a bunch of Athletics. I think he got like 6 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts. Not enough though, not enough. Overall, I feel good about my team. I still feel like I have one of the better teams. I'm just going to have to make sure I start the right people. I'm also going to have to make sure I'm looking at the categories. Again, Ruiz is going to be a steals guy for me. I've tried to trade for a few guys like Starling Marte. He's a buy low candidate right now, batting like 226. Got like 8 or 9 stolen bases. So normally a 300 plus hitter. Again, I was trying to go for him. Trade was rejected. So I'm going to keep trying to get him. But man, it's something that I'm going to have to keep working on. Make sure I'm starting the right pitchers. Finally deciding to sit AJ Minter because he has blown up my ERA. But funny enough, I haven't lost ERA the last few weeks because I've been doing so well, especially with Hunter Brown. So hopefully that continues. Jose Alvarado's been a great addition. So if for some reason, somehow, he's still available in your league, scoop him up. Again, with this loss, I dropped to 2-2. I am 7th overall, but 2nd in my division. So plenty of time. Shifting gears to my Cheese Weasels, I was able to drop in the standings. Again, this is a fluctuating league, so I fell to like 7th or 8th at one point in time. I'm up to 6th now, but of course I'm still going to be looking to be adding to some of my categories. I am winning in strikes. I am close in holds, close in saves. So I feel like if I can pick some of those categories up and have those set, I'll be able to work on the others. Ones I'm still lacking in: home runs. I'm lacking in walks. I'm lacking in runs. So those are ones obviously I have to look at, and with my waiver wire pickups, you can see I've definitely tried to attend to those. With being so close to leading in wins, I did pick up Rich Hill and John Gray, thinking I was going to absolutely be able to get 2 wins in those. John Gray let me down. Not gonna lie, he let me down. Rich Hill, the ageless wonder like we talked about before, did not let me down, pitching a gem against the Nationals. I also was able to pick up Brandon Marsh. I don't know how he was still available, but he was, and he's able to get walks, he's able to get on base, and he got some power. I did have to drop Josh Rojas for it, and again, he decided to do well as soon as I dropped him, so I might look to add him back. But I was also able to pick up Esteury Ruiz to help with the steals. Hopefully he'll go on a stealing rampage like he did in the minors and catapult me up to the top in that category. Already this week I've made a few changes, especially when it comes to home runs. I have to catch up in that category. And now we're going to move over to my South Harmon Institute of Technology team. Looking at the categories, some of them were super close. Hits, runs, and stolen bases could have gone either way, and probably should have with some of the pickups I had. But looking at the overall stats, there's one stat for myself, which my number's at the bottom, that stand out to me. I had 0 losses this week. How awesome is that? I mean, you can see he had 90 strikeouts. Obviously, he has more starting pitchers than I do. I am banking on more of the holds, saves, ERA, and whip. Don't want to lose games, so I'm willing to sacrifice strikeouts and wins. Now, you also see the shutouts and complete games are also things I'm willing to give up, unless one of my few starting pitchers can get me those. So we'll see how I can move forward and potentially change that. Hitting wise, like we talked about, I had some close categories, but then there were some that just got a little too far out of range for me, especially to recover in a day or two. Something that really stands out to me hitting wise is the fact that my average and my OPS were so low. I don't know what the heck I have to do to get those up. Obviously, start better players. Some of the positives from this league this week, including both Josh Lowe and Freddie Freeman hitting .333, both giving me at least 10 total bases, both giving me at least a home run, both having at least one stolen base, with Freddie having 3. They definitely did their part in helping me, unlike some batters going 0 for 16 or 1 for 16. Thanks, Ty France and Teoscar Hernandez. Pitching-wise, Vince Velasquez and Hunter Brown both pitched to wins with 0.00 ERAs and sub-1 whips. And relief-wise, Jose Alvarado, Jose Quijada, Jorge Lopez, Carlos Estevez, and Jordan Romano did great for me. This week's waiver wire is a bit funky. I dropped Urshela, picked up Turner, made sure I had some wins with Griffin Canning and Vince Velasquez, but also wanted to make sure I picked up some steals. So I have Ji-Hwan Bae, and I picked up Rodolfo Castro, but realized he wasn't playing that day. So I picked up Geraldo Perdomo, who I told you to pick up last week, and he ended up doing okay for me. You also see that I dropped Jose Quijada because he did have an injury, ligament damage in his elbow, so he's probably done for at least a little bit. So that means if Carlos Estevez is available in your league, pick him up. The 8-7-3 loss this week dropped me to just over 500 with 31 wins, 30 losses, and 11 ties. And finally, Russell My Jim Jones had another close call this week, but did come up short. 8 wins, 6 losses, and 2 ties. Some of the ones that stand out to me, hits, which, looking at some other leagues, I do not have great hitting. Also average, which it wasn't great, but hey, it won. And I was just short, literally 12 points away from winning OPS. Also looking at my strikeouts, which I always like to have strikeouts, and my whip and ERA. Definitely feel like if I'm going to have high strikes and a low or manageable ERA and whip, I'm doing something right. Very disappointed I didn't win saves. I did win holds, but I pride myself on having saves, so that's very disappointing I did not win that. This week dropped me to 7th out of 10 in the standings. I think what makes me feel worse than that drop was the fact that the person who was in last, 10th out of 10, is the person who beat me this week. So again, just a bad week like I had in Fantrax. Just 4 bad weeks. Again, it's a long season. Looking forward to new waiver wire pickups just in addition to the ones I have this week. And you can see that I made a big move. I dropped Carlos Correa. He just was not doing it for me. If you look at his stats last year, he was hitting 290. But again, something I always think about him, he's always hurt. He's going to be hurt at some point in time. Yes, he's going to catch fire. Yes, he's going to put up some numbers. But I can't have him on my team because I already have what I feel are good shortstops, and I don't have a place for Carlos Correa. So in an attempt to pick up steals, I did grab Whit Merrifield, which he had his best days when he was in Kansas City. He is hitting over 300 at the time of this recording. So maybe he has caught back on. Last year he ended the year with the Blue Jays and did not do well. Again, this year he is hitting over 300 at this point in time. Hopefully he continues it, because Dalton Varsho sure ain't. He's hitting less than 200, so he's probably going to be receiving some starts to Merrifield in the near future, if not already. I'm so very glad week 4 is in the books because that was a 5-loss week for me. I'm going to be looking forward to future weeks, but before I even get to those future weeks, I'm going to talk to you about people who I think you should pick up or people who should be rostered, if not already in your league. We're going to start with Brent Rooker. Sunday, he was 59% owned. Monday, he was 72% owned. Because this past week, he was on fire. He had 5 home runs and 11 RBIs for the Athletics. He's pretty much their entire offense. So if he can stay hot, that will make those in front of him, including Esteury Ruiz, who will get steals and runs. Brent Rooker will get the home runs and get the RBIs. I feel like that could be a tandem you might want to look at. Again, it's going to depend on who they're playing. You're not going to want to start them against wonderful pitching like Clayton Kershaw, but maybe the Giants could be an option for them. A guy that you might want to look at for stolen bases is Ji-Hwan Bae. He plays for the Pirates, he's batting .250, and he has 17 runs. What's so special about him? He has 11 stolen bases. 6 of them came this past week. So if he can keep it up on a red-hot Pirates offense, he will be able to absolutely be an addition to your team and help you win the steals category alone. Most of my leagues have holds for a category, so I'm constantly looking for relief pitchers who can add value to my team. At only 10% owned, Colin Holderman what a pun for a name, is an absolute beast. He has 9 holds and 12 strikeouts in 12 1/3 innings. He's had 2 blow-ups, but he's only had 1 blown save. That Pirates bullpen is absolutely putting in work, so David Bednar is picking up the saves. If they can keep this up, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but they've absolutely made a name for themselves in this early part of the season. I want to thank you so much for joining me for the Week 4 recap. Again, I want to know who you're picking up, who you're dropping, and what trades you're trying to make. And let me know what you think about the team that I've decided to put together with my ads, pickups, and drafts. This is Jake Hagan, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.